Yes, so welcome here for our today's Hangout call / product presentation with Brett. He is the head of product of 𝗤𝗄, Society as a Service platform, actually the only Society as a Service platform in the moment in the whole world. They look super promising. If I would do this company, I would probably do it exactly like this. So we are really happy that we have capable people, organized people who try to save humanity. Also, we have Raoul in the conversation. So we are trying to understand what you do, which is like super advanced, super technically, from an average person's standpoint. So the stage is yours, Brett.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Daniel and Raoul. It's really an honor to be with you both. Thanks for hosting me and 𝗔𝗟 specifically to contextualize what we can do with network states and really startup societies and everything in between as well. So I'm going to just start by introducing myself, and then I'll jump into a demo for you. We'll try to keep it super short at the surface. And if anyone watching or listening to this would like to see a longer demo and have a one-to-one conversation or workshop, I'll make sure that there's a link on the Telegram, and you can just easily get a hold of me there, and we can have as much of a dialogue as you like, even if you don't have a community that you're thinking of turning into society with these Web3 tools that we're going to be looking at today. So yeah, my name's Brad. I'm the product owner at 𝗔𝗟. I work with the marketing team, the engineering team. I'm on the growth team. I work with the other executives to put together our strategy and execute it. And right now we're building a 𝗓𝗓 on top of our own blockchain that we just recently launched. So we have a solo chain that's substrate based, and we have a token called 𝗔𝗟 that's named after the name of our business. My background is in product, and I've been working mostly in edutech, but some other SaaS products beforehand for about a decade. So I've got a bit of experience with that, and also as an entrepreneur prior running my own startup. So I know a bit about being a founder as well as working on a core team. And I'm not so new to Web3, but only 2 years with 𝗔𝗟 in Web3. And I would say that I really found a home in what we are doing specifically, because I believe in the social impact of this mission, and in bringing power back to people, to being able to bring their communities to power with these Web3 tools that I'm about to show you. So I'm just going to jump into the demo. I'm excited for this, and I'm going to go super fast through it. If I can find out how to share my screen. Here it is. You've disabled participant screen sharing here, Daniel. I think you need to enable that, and then I'll be able to do it. There it is.
You should be able to do it now.
I think I can. Okay, I believe you can see the 𝗓𝗓 there. Awesome. All right, so this is a demo of the Startup Society application, decentralized app. We're in internal beta with this, which means that if you would like to join that cohort, you're welcome to get in touch, and we'll talk about the implementation details. We're going to be going public very soon, but obviously we're testing this with users first and getting a lot of feedback on which other features we should build to accommodate you and your communities. So the idea on the landing screen here is to show people a showcase of other societies that you might want to join. So we can actually learn all about these societies and what their moral innovations are, or their culture that the founders and or their community members have decided to share. So this is about your traditions, customs, values, even religion, if the society is inclined. even language as well. You can see what proposals they've already prepared and voted on, and you can also see who the founder is and what their passport looks like. So with this tool, you can configure all of that and more with your societies, and that's what we're going to look at now. So this is how you create a society. These are the wallet choices, depending on if you're on mobile or desktop. And we want to make it super easy to just spin up a society without thinking twice. So all you need is a name, and you've got a brand new society portal for you. This is minting with 𝗔𝗟. So it takes a little bit of our token for each of these transactions because we want to establish a history of this society's evolution on chain. Because if you're influential enough, which hopefully is the purpose, you're going to be looking back historically at the record of this society, especially if it's on a pathway to a network state. So we haven't added any details and logo for the society, no flag. So we're going to do a little bit of that now for this society. This is how the page looks with nothing configured or filled out, but it's really easy, and you can add them one row at a time. Again, a transaction onto the blockchain with each step. And there we filled up now all of the culture of our society. So next we want to add a description. So this can be your manifesto, your vision, or even your constitution. Completely up to you, and it's a huge long text form. And also we're adding the logo there. So we've got everything set up on the society side. And then the next part of this is me as the founder. We want to add some details about that person so that, basically anyone joining can get a good sense of who the leader of this society is and what their bio is, where they even are in the world, and any of these contact types that you desire. So everything in Web3 social credentials are here, like Telegram, Discord, Signal, and also Slack, WhatsApp, pretty much all the communication platforms. The thing about this page is you get to choose what you share as a member. So the society founder is sharing all of this because it's pretty important to know that person. But we do also value the pseudonymity of Web3, and that as a principle of Web3. So whatever you put in is what you choose to share with other members. Now, other members can't see it unless you physically give them a QR code to your profile. That's what I mean. All right, so we've got some details for this founder here. This is our founder of 𝗔𝗟, 𝗓𝗨, and these are the pre-constitutional citizens that are going for this society together to create actually the Constitution. So the narrative here with this society is that together through the proposals and voting, we're going to create a constitution together and have passports and make decisions about how we want to use them. So let's set up the passport now. We've got a couple of colors in case you're already branded and you want to reflect your style guide here with the passport. And there's also a tagline, so kind of your headline in 20 words or so that is also published here and displayed on the passport. All right, so here's how we're looking here. And these are the badge types. So I'm going to take you through how we can configure and the different use cases for the badges, which are really cool. So you can think of these as the member's reputation in the society. So we can do things like create visa badges for access, check-in badges, virtual or physical access. Sorry, the visa badge is what's used to check in. So I'm going to show you how to create one of those in a minute. Credentials can be like I'm a product manager, or maybe I'm in the working group, or an oracle, or an ambassador. There's a lot of that, especially in Web3 communities. And then rewards for participation or other reasons for rewarding, like you guys, at the meetup in Malta. If you've come, let's say, to 3 meetups, you get a cool reward. And even just for coming, a badge. So with our community calls, we give all the attendees badges in their passports for attending each of the AMAs. And I'm still setting these up. So let's see how this stuff's looking on our passport that we're creating. So here's all the information that the founders added. Again, the vision, and there's the QR code in case Ali wants to share that with other people. That's when they can see all this information as a regular user. But Ali's a founder, so he's kind of an open book here. And another thing I want to show you is how to create a badge. So we can just go through here and add some of the metadata that will be, again, minted on chain for the badge, like the name, a badge type, which is chosen for those use cases that we went through, and a description, and of course the logo. So you can design whatever you want. And as we're creating this and configuring the society's passport, I'm going to show you how the badges look on each member or citizen's passport before you even issue the passport to them. So we're setting all this up, and we can even see exactly how each of these badges and badge types are going to be illustrated on the passport. So here's a grid of all our badges. We've got a couple here, and we're getting close. We need to just fill out a proposal after we see how these badges look. So let's check out the Visa badges. So we've got two, one for our after party last week that we had for the solo chain. And we use our passport to gate access our Discord. So there's a couple of very exclusive channels in Discord that you have to be a pioneer citizen, which means a passport holder, in order to participate in some of these Discord channels. And we've got a couple others that we do too, like evangelists, which were the people that voted on our awards. We had about 50 plus founders that participated in an awards program to get ready and ramp up for this app, actually. So we wanted to see who was thinking about societies and what they would do with them. So they wrote proposals that presented their conceptual idea for how they would either become a network state or an archipelago, or each of these different destinations.
Yeah, I might have a
virtual
question
communities.
right away.
Yeah.
So
Great.
those visas, they could also, like if you speak about the real world where countries are issuing visas in order to have access to a specific territory, and Malta would decide, oh, this sounds quite fancy, we will also issue a Web3 visa. Is this something what you see for the future, that we could actually physically also use this to get access to a territory using a Web3 ID, like let's say in 10 years from now, using our phone? Or
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think that the technology that's powering these badges is exactly the infrastructure that you would use for that, because I mean, first of all, there's a record, so that would be able to be shared across, other jurisdictions, because when you get into that high end of a diplomatic process, those databases are also shared. So the blockchain is a perfect, use case for that. And otherwise, it's unique, right? I mean, it's on the chain. You can't remove it. It's not like your GDPR, personally identifiable data that people can just wipe out of a centralized database. It's there on the chain. So if you went and used a visa and you have to wait 90 days before you can come back, if that's the issue, then it's going to take care of that. And so we use QR codes and GUID contract hashes on the chain, just like all the other blockchain transactions. Hope that answered your question.
yes.
I think so. Awesome. So let's look, in fact, at, speaking of contract transactions, so we can check, for example, this hash on an Explorer and see exactly what block it's on, and even look at the JSON data there if we wanted to, just to sort of show that this happened at this time. There's a timestamp, and this person has a proof of participation in this event, or is definitely a Discord member. So I'm going to go and just tell you a bit about like some other use cases a little bit. So for Coco, with co-living, maybe there are different roles that people are contributing to the conversation about a particular area, or to a bigger proposal about a project. And these can be used to configure voting guilds, for example. Like if you only want certain people with an expertise in a certain domain, you can isolate them with that treasury money and have them vote in the next area that we're about to go into, which is governance, and make sure that, you know, these other folks that just showed up yesterday are not also weighing in on a very important decision that affects the budget allocation of Cocoa, or, you know, a new project that really you only trust certain people to be a part of that. But then also you can configure everybody to, you know, be a part of a different thing, like, you know, maybe a certain workshop about, you know, startups, or something that happens every Friday with a pizza party. So they can have access or get a participation badge for that. And then just play with this system that's completely configurable and customizable. So any society can build their own reputation, and everything's on chain. So, you know, if somebody's doing something for a bounty, and later another society sees this person doing a really great job and getting paid through, let's say, some token or other in-kind services, there's a record of them that's so different than what we do today with LinkedIn, right? We write our own resume. I mean, it's not verified by anyone. You might get some testimonials, but, you know, maybe I told my grandma to write something nice about me and upload a fake. I uploaded her fake, you know, image on her profile while she was making dinner in the other room, right? So this is the future even of work and, you know, contribution and trust across people. So this can even be built to a much more serious use case, like, you know, who to hire, who to trust with important decisions and jobs.
With whom should you live? This is a big problem for co-living operators to figure out if the people are nice people, if they work in a co-living environment, if there would be kind of badges issued by co-living providers saying this is a nice tenant, then the next operator has an easier life.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. So this is how the badges look, and we could, you know, look at each badge type, flipping pages to see how this is all going to be set up with someone who has the full roster of badges, you know, eventually. So you can check as a founder before issuing the badges or the passport. And then the last step to look at are the proposals, and then we'll send an invite to a member after this. So pretty standard, very similar to the best practice that we already all use, like, you know, there's snapshot, for example. So you got all your standard, you know, description, your title. With the data, we style the text boxes with Markdown. So you can do bold and, you know, caps and bullets and so on. So let's write a proposal, and let's make a couple proposals. And we've got a few proposals open already. So now we're going to invite some members. So just want to show you one show page of a proposal first. Okay, so we could share this proposal, but we need some members first. So just remember that we can share that, and the members, once we bring them in, will be able to come in and see all these proposals that we made. But let's take an invite now. Okay, we copied to the clipboard. Cool. So this generates a shareable link, which displays the society logo. And then you can write, you know, a nice description, a little meta description, and of course the link. So you can, the idea is that you don't need to bring everybody into this platform. It's just a couple of Web3 tools that you actually take what we just saw into the community where they already are. So you're already in Telegram. I mean, here's a link. Let's go vote, guys. You know, grab your passport because we have another meetup at the end of the month, and you need your passport to get the special prize, right? So it's not like we're saying add another app to your homepage, or you need to bring everybody over to another place. It's more like these are just tools to use to complement and really enhance what you're already doing. And let's invite some people now, as we already did. And here they come. They're dropping in. We can see some locations. So we're also obviously working on a map so that you can see everyone in your society around the globe, even as they move around the globe, which is pretty cool. And, already we're starting to issue some stamps for folks, and just want to show you how their member page looks to them. So this is Mr. Draper, who's already voted on a couple of things, 22 proposals. He's even voted more this month than last month. So he's a really engaged member who's adopting this and taking off, and obviously getting a lot of badges for his participation. So this is the end of the demo, and I really appreciate you sticking with it. I'm sorry that I went a little long, but I hope you liked it.
It wasn't long, it was great. Thank you.
Okay.
And
Brett,
yeah,
what kind of proposals do you envision for these types of societies?
Anything. So with this society, we are talking about the pre-constitutional community of 𝗔𝗓. So we've got people that support us. They want to actually support you as founders. So we're building a constitution together in a proposal saying, this is what 𝗔𝗓 stands for. I need to, set up a few people to go and target society members in Malta. And, we're going to give you 1,000 𝗔𝗓 to go and take care of that by next Friday, and convert 5 new founders so that we can implement them into this experience, and or maybe go to 𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗏, right? And here's some money that the proposal says everybody agrees that we're going to fly you to 𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗏. We're going to use some of the money from the treasury, and you're the best person to go because you're the greatest presenter and you're articulate. So, we want to vote for whoever this person is over here in our society. All kinds of reasons. Anything you can think of.
Mm-hmm.
And the badges, I was also a little curious. The badges, what exactly does a badge entail? Someone gives you a badge, or you create it for yourself? How does it work?
Let me show you how we've been using these. So they are created by the founder or anyone else, right? Let's say the founder, does not know how to use Adobe Illustrator. Probably not many founders do. So they hire someone, or they've got someone on, one of the like gig apps like Upwork, and they pay $20 to do these tiny little logo designs that are branded for them, right? So, I mean, you can do these really well, or you could just kind of make some sloppy badges, but let's assume that somebody wants to make them really well. And they can upload the badges for, let's say, the next month's roadmap of, we're going to do like 2 community calls. We're going to have a Twitter space. We're going to give away, some of our token. We're going to do like some kind of artist, in residence thing for a week, and meet, everybody on the team, and all the people that come on the team are also going to get rewarded, because even core team members get badges too that are, doing really well. Like, we pride ourselves on the 𝗔𝗓 team on the badges that we get when we do a good job. We even use this within our own company as well. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like so what you were saying is that this reward is going to stay on the chain and kind of review your work. It's an automatic review of what's happening, of what you do.
It can be, yeah. It can be a credential system to log your contribution. Now, of course, if you want to work in Web3, this makes more sense now, but in the future, this just might be the standard, status quo.
But what then is the difference? I mean, a badge has no monetary value, so I cannot sell it. It's not, I mean, it's my asset, but I cannot sell it. And then, of course, we are thinking about tokens as a reward. Like
Right.
if we are giving a talk during our meetup or people come to our meetup, we envision that they need to pay us in those social interaction tokens, which is really similar to badges, but they are transferable. No, I can earn my tokens, and then maybe I can also spend them if I want to go in, if I want to consume another human interaction or event or activity. So can you explain a little bit more about your token? Can this also be used to be transferred among citizens, or is this then separate?
The badge, as in like the non-fungible token. So the passport's an NFT. The badges are attributes on that NFT owner's passport. So it's still one NFT, the passport, that's just getting updated with new attribution. You cannot transfer it, so it's soul-bound. I mean, it shouldn't be, because it's an actual person, and especially once you get some badges, it's important to to maintain and preserve that person did those activities and they are who they say they are. So that proof of personhood's important. Now, is there another use case for that being valuable? Well, you can look at something called social tokens. The social token market cap right now, I think it's in the billions. They are worth zero. They are only worth your reputation, your achievement, your status. And I mean, even you could say probably maybe the same about an Instagram influencer. I mean, creating the demand from the status of wearing clothes or being near the right meal, the right like plate of food on the table, or the right hotel background behind them, which makes people want to go and be associated with that status of those things because they trust their reputation of fashion or whatever, it's couture, high society choice of particular branding and products. So is there a value there? I mean, it's all very nuanced and understated, but there's a lot to the status and of communities trusting like each other based on being awarded those badges of honor, basically. So, if you like have somebody without badges versus somebody with 20 badges, and you've got some money to spend on something important, you're gonna, you're go with somebody to hire that has more experience. Even if you're not sure if they're good, you don't even start the conversation until the candidate for employment demonstrates experience, right? Whereas an 18-year-old coming out of school might be hot for the job and probably works and hustles 3 times more than the senior executive that you ended up entertaining the offer for. So, I mean, this is more like, I already did this. Here's my badges.
But also, are you also planning to introduce social tokens? Because this is our really simple idea. We onboard a new citizen. Maybe we do some real life KYC, and then this person is equipped with, let's say, 10 whatever social tokens. Let's call them co-coins. Is this something we can do using your platform? Or how does the whole treasury actually works? Because this is still a big question mark. How does the token design or token dynamics work? Is there a token flow amongst the society?
What we have right now is a real product that you can use very soon, that I've shown you. So I'm not going to comment on anything that we're not shipping and deploying, because there's already enough Web3 projects that talk about their vaporware. So this will be out and you can log in with your wallet and use what I just showed you in a couple weeks, couple months after we get past this beta.
Okay.
I have one more question. So what are your expectations for this platform regarding the integration with the nation-state paradigm? So how do you think it can be accepted? Mm-hmm.
We would be, too full of ourselves, I think, to step into a political position. So what we can say is that the technology is here to power network states, and back to what Daniel was talking about, there are going to be more features. I have enough experience in product to not try to sell you features that we haven't built yet, because that doesn't work. It might sound good today, but then when you ask me for those features and where they are the next time we meet, or the person that saw this asks about them and we don't have them, it's not very popular for a business to blow a bunch of rainbows up people's asses, right? So we have the infrastructure that I've shown you, which is on that pathway, right? I mean, by no means is this going to run a country and handle the police, jurisdiction when somebody breaks an arm on another person's private property, and you can't just pick up like the 𝗕𝗥𝗔𝗟𝗏 phone and somebody's going to show up, and the ambulance with the insurance and are going to take people to sort that. You still need jurisdictions in today's world, but we're going to keep building, and we're going to be adding features so that we can accommodate that transition there, and be agnostic the whole way through, because we should probably stay out of the political conversation as the infrastructure.
It's playing in the beginning. This is the most powerful thing, The first projects, they will be just full of humor, playing, and this will bring the breakthrough in the long term without going into negativity. I'm also thinking.
Yeah.
I have a question. We thought a lot about how should a constitution work. Is this still a written constitution, a classic constitution, or is it kind of a meta constitution in a meta language? How do you envision this? Because, I mean, if you really think long term in the future, you have AI deciding, AI courts. No, this is something which is already being spoken about in the Web3 movement. So how do I create a constitution? Just text for now? Or is it if this, then that?
That's an interesting, well, I see. Okay. No, well, for now, you can use text, but you can also use code. And I mean, we're not against an AI society. If there's no human intervention in the society, I don't think there's any way that we would be able to intervene. You can add a link to a repository on GitHub instead of the written markup of the Constitution in the long form text field. You can add a video. I know, just to kind of continue where you started with that, I think it's an interesting point about what it even is. I mean, I've looked at a lot of the network state, I guess there's societies like Nation3, for example, or even 𝗏𝗏𝗏. 𝗏𝗏𝗏's founder is looking 500 years ahead for their project, and they wrote their vision with that in mind, because they're looking at cities. They call it actually a network city and of neighborhoods and outposts. And I thought it was very clever and extremely just like humble to be thinking 500 years ahead. So that's how he answers that question. And then there is Nation3, which took a very similar approach, I think, to the existing jurisdictional narrative, where they've got a court system with jurors. They went with the legal stack first to build on top of. So I think you can do anything. And if there's some way to code it so that it's got like natural language processing from data science that's writing the Constitution as the society is evolving, I think that would be quite fascinating and doable with code. Yeah,
we are super early. We need to be honest. This is like the internet in 1991. You know, it's okay not to have all of the answers. But I have a interesting question. Just assume we have a successful startup society Web3 project, and the founder goes crazy. He disappears because we collected 7 million in our crowdfunding campaign, in our airdrop, whatever. We go crazy. What happens? Like, what happens is, in terms of migration, like, can I migrate into a new society? Because maybe I want to be part of different societies. And can I then take my assets, my badges to a new society?
It's a great question.
Or
We talked about it a
another
lot.
leader.
Those are great points. I don't have the answers, but I know that the blockchain can't erase what's happened. So you can't delete the society and negate it. So it's going to be there, even if the founder disappears. Now, what needs to be protected is that 7 million, or what was that the number? You know, I mean, that wallet can't be the founder's back pocket, right? This isn't built that way because it wouldn't be trustless and immutable if it was. So that wallet belongs to the society. And I love your idea, Raul. Like, yeah, figure out a way to write a proposal and elect a new founder, and then call me, and we'll give you the credentials of the MIA, you know, leader, wherever you went. Or but you can't delete a society. You definitely would have to like start a new one, or take over to, you know, mutiny on that other one that you were on. It's a great question. It's a good point. Really good point.
Is there a feature for
coups?
Yeah, exactly.
Coup feature.
It's a little button, mutiny now.
Do we have other questions? Treasury, of course. Like a really practical example. We have now 10,000 free constitutional citizens, or people who want to get invested and committed. And some of them, they would even be willing to invest some money in terms of crowdfunding just to get this idea starting. How does Treasury work? Is this already built in, or how does it work? Because this is like a really practical problem for me. There are people who want to not invest, or however this will look like. They want to spend money on our idea, but what is the next step?
There are ways to do it. I'll give you an example right now, but we're also, to be honest, working on this very problem right now as well. So I don't want to say anything because we're still making decisions, but I can promise you we will find a strategy to solve it. But there are ways to do it, and I'll give you one right now. So 𝗏𝗏 is a Polkadot project. They have a parachain. They have a lot of different collections of NFTs that their community has purchased. So there's money that goes into the purchase of the NFT. Now they can actually sell that NFT, but they also have a token. And with the token and the NFT combined, what 𝗏𝗏 has done is super clever. They've got games. They have their gaming platform on Polkadot, and they have a game called Carnage that basically, to play, you have to have that NFT. And they have a lot of events that are NFT gated that have specific rewards. And there's a combination of gamified experiences that their community absolutely loves. So like if you get in the top 10 leaderboard as an NFT holder, and you're good at the game. And by the way, they only play this game on Sundays, and it has seasons. So it's like sometimes you play the game all together inside there together in the metaverse. And if you get in the top 10, they reward you with a ton of 𝗏𝗏, their token. So like if you're really good at the game, you get a bunch of crypto, and people love that. And then they also just like playing games. So it's a whole, you know, combined flywheel, crypto flywheel, really. And but they've got all their money tied up into those NFTs, and you know, their supply and demand of those NFTs is going up because of this experience that's seasoned, so you can't do it all the time. And then of course you can't buy more NFTs because the collection is sold out. You know, they drop them, people buy them. So they tied that money into that like kind of pool of their own experiences, and people don't sell those NFTs too much because they want to play that game and be in that community. It's pretty cool
Very
to
smart.
think about. So there's ways, which is what's wild about Web3. These kinds of things that once you say them out loud, you can nod, but it also is, it takes a while to, you know, kind of go through the whole program.
Okay, Raoul, do you have any other questions? Is your software open source?
Is it open source? Yeah, actually, it is.
So I could just fork basically 𝗔𝗟 and do whatever.
Right now, it's not, but when we get there, when we're in L1, so we're building a community palette.
Yeah.
And yeah, the idea is obviously in line with blockchain again, to have this be open source.
Me as a founder, could I mean, this is also like futuristic, you know, I'm not asking about specific features, it's just about thinking, you know, into the future. Do you think it would be possible to fork existing societies if I believe this is good, but I want to have a little change in this? So is a society actually owned by someone, or can I just copy a society because I like it so much, but I want to improve it? Or not everyone wants to start really from the ground up, from the bottom, you know? Because all the work we do in the next 10 years, in 10 years, the startup founders, they should not do this groundwork.
It's a good question. I like it. Okay, well, since these societies that we looked at are open, there are also private societies, and there will also be NFT gated societies like 𝗏𝗏. So you wouldn't be able to see the culture or the proposals of those if they're totally private. Maybe they're anarchists and devil worshippers, like who knows, right? But you can see the open ones. So yeah, you can copy paste their culture. You can write their proposals. You can also have the same governance strategy as them, because there are 32 different ways to govern that, you know, you can look at snapshots, repo. There's even 168 over there, but I've been doing some research and I think I've got them down actually to discretely like 32 different varieties of governance. So yeah, you could copy those, but membership is opt-in. So you can't obviously fork all the members, plus they'd leave anyway, but it's opt-in, which we want to value. And, you know, you'd have to be really influential still to already have a good community idea that people would be attracted to. So I think it's all about that as a founder, or, you know, as an idea.
Because what I see really looking into the future, there will be one particular society which is better, for example, with government relationships. The others, they are better with universal basic income or whatever. So I don't want to build this building block. I would like to take it from them and integrate it into Coco, because then I think we have this leverage, you know, because maybe I'm not the person good in setting up universal basic income.
Totally. I mean, even if you were developing it from an L1, you have your own DApp that you want to build on top of our protocol, and we're building other protocols. So we're now working on, you know, the next protocol, which will be dispute resolution. And, you know, we even already have an application that's legally compliant in 166 countries. It's UNCITRAL, legally binding arbitration. We have a roster of arbitrators, and that's one more piece. I think another piece would be maybe oracles. You know, yeah, you should be able to just pick and choose these with interoperability across blockchains, no silos, easy to implement. You know, you still need to code, but this DApp is a no code solution. This is like push one button, start a society. No engineers. You can do this in your mom's basement this weekend.
A technical understanding. So let's say we onboard the first 100 citizens to Coco. They get their NFT pass. with
That's
their
right.
public address. This is probably the QR code, which is being embedded, or a link probably to your platform, which then displays the data, the attributes associated with the NFT, like the name, like the bio, like the signal handle. From my
But
understanding,
not on blockchain. Nobody would see that. Just so you know, like we hide all personal identifiable data on chain. You can't even see anybody's anything data on chain. Just so
if
you
someone
know.
would
So we
come
don't store that on chain.
with their phone and they would like to get access to our events, they would show their passport and I see the QR code. This QR code probably is a URL to your platform.
That's right.
What if, like, to make it short, do you have an API, or is this a wrong thinking? Because I should interact on chain directly, so I don't even need to have an API to ensure I would basically interact with the blockchain directly. Is this right?
Now, you mean how do you check them in to verify, right?
If they are,
what you mean?
if they're actually my citizen, if they're actually part of,
they can hold up the phone, you know, and you can see their passport. It's mobile, and you know they can just say, "Here I am." Or if you want to do what you're talking about, you would need some more integration. So we built a bot on Discord, and that bot also works on Telegram. So for the Telegram part, we have you. We're able to do that easily. There's even some third-party solutions. But to check them into a physical event, there's some more receiving and verifying that you would need to do. But it's not hard. It's a script, and you need one of those readers. So they did this for Ape Fest in New York City. Those guys that had the NFTs could bring a +1, so a guest and yourself. And that was the only way you could get in to see Snoop Dogg. Madonna was there, cool place. So you had to be this NFT holder, and they were just, scanning the NFT barcode that they built, just like we're looking at this QR code thing. So it's not hard to build a check-in feature. Higher ed does it with a lot of their required trainings. Like as a freshman, you have to do a couple of things for the university, and they make sure you attend, like sexual harassment training. So they check you in. And this tech is open source, basically. You can get it.
But then it's about smart contracts. I need to have some knowledge about smart contracts, right?
No. You need to have one developer build you one app, and I'm sure we'll be looking into it soon, because I love this feature. The idea of this, you can use it everywhere. And I mean, getting together face to face like you guys do is a big part of, I think, the success of Web3. You can't just be on Discord and not know who's in your society. I mean, you got to meet them, right? Like if you go on a date, you go on a date with a real person. So you can't just talk on Tinder.
This is where the magic happens, because then people they commit actually to do something in the real world, go into a taxi and not just click a button. But and then I think we wrap it up. Maybe it's a misunderstanding, or no. Will there be an API? If I, for example, want to integrate a community directory of all of my community members, maybe I want to have it being filtered by their profession, that I can actually search their bios, and descriptions, and I want to show it on my website. Is there an API that I can say api.sure.io, give me the citizens, get all citizens for community ID, or how would I do this? Because then you have this login effect. How do I force people to go to your platform if actually the traffic comes via Google to Coco? But I would like to show the data.
What do you want to do? You want to show who's in the Coco society?
For example, I want to have sub pages for every community member, which will be shown on Google. So it should be indexable by Google. For this, I need to get access to the data somehow of this.
All the data that they've given.
But this is against Web3 principles, no? So I think we need a new thinking, or
I mean, you can get it, but not from this application. So I give your community a type form and say, I need this data so that I can display it and give them a badge for giving to you. No, I mean, it's pseudonymous. So we tell those members of Coco, just like every other society, that we're not sharing their data with other people, but the founder can see it. Now that you said that,
it's about how
do you think they would like it?
It's about the lock-in effect. So of course, I hope that you will succeed. The probability is super high that you will succeed. But now I commit 1 year to onboard 10,000 people to your platform. And then you switch or whatever you decide to. How can I get my citizens out? If there is no API, it's hard. And then I end up with 10,000 citizens and I cannot make the move.
You just want to take away their passport and their ability to vote, right? You want to remove them because you don't trust the platform anymore. Because
no, I think what Daniel means is how can he access them, as in communicate with them and have their information in order to be able to continue the society if something happens to your platform.
Oh, I see. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. And then make it easy to move them to another society platform, which is fair. I think you should be able to move.
But that's like in the future, but it's important. If I build 50,000 Web2 user profiles on Coco Hub over the course of 6 years, and I know at one point we need to switch the platform because we maxed out WordPress, I can just migrate this MySQL, rows into something new, into Laravel. That's easy.
Yeah.
And maybe even the opposite.
Maybe a CSV export, and then usually you can do something with that in most databases.
Those are futuristic questions. I think it's totally normal not to have the answers for it, because also not the time maybe to ask this. Probably it is.
No, it's a good question. It's a good question. I mean, also you have to think about it from the user's perspective. Do your citizens want you to have all that ability to take their personal information anywhere you choose? Because what if you're that crazy founder? But I think you made a compelling argument.
I have actually a couple more questions. So if there is someone, a founder, that has a crazy idea to create a very racist or bad type of society, some, let's say, a Nazi type of society, or public, doesn't matter. Will you see any kind of control over this, or is there going to be any censorship or
we won't be, judging the society, so we wouldn't be blocking that society. Of course, if the FBI or MI6 said, you need to give us all those people's data, we're going to have our hands up against the wall and going to have to do whatever we're told, because we're not moving to a micronation where we're protected under some other, jurisdiction. So we're in Switzerland. But no, we're not going to have a gatekeeper judging, scoring each society's intent as they come in.
And the follow-up, what kind of protection is there from service providers or governments to access or appropriate themselves with society's assets?
Well, the only assets that the society has right now are passports with badges, and they have the power of their community doing collective action, basically. So I don't think the government could ever take away collective action and engagement and energy of a society. But that's another reason to move platforms, right? If somebody has a problem with a platform, then it does make sense in Web3's future to be able to say, I'm going to switch to a different blockchain, even because it's faster or cheaper, whatever, right? Yeah. I mean, we're going to be on a blockchain. We want to be interoperable with other blockchains, but let's say we're not fast enough and another platform with societies as a service, has more bandwidth. I think it makes sense. I kind of like that feature of moving your whole society somewhere else. Yeah.
But what if the government wants to, for some reason, the founder didn't pay taxes somewhere, and
Right.
they find that they have associated tokens, or the treasury you were talking about? Will there be any protection for the citizens?
I mean, the treasury, so we work with lawyers on a weekly basis. In fact, our whole core team are predominantly lawyers, and our founder has a PhD in law. And we look at the compliance of this app every week. And it's the legal entity that is of formation by a society. It has every protection as its own entity, not related to the citizen. So it's similar to you bankrupting your company that owes, $100 million, but you personally can go and still provide for your family. So these societies are, set up just like any other LLC, which is going to be basically the responsibility of the founder. So it's going to come down to them and using this as a vehicle, just like they were setting up any other business. So 𝗔's not going to be responsible for that, right? But it's also different in DAOs. So what you brought up is an interesting, I think, conversation about DAOs, because there are many DAOs that did not incorporate or form a legal entity in somewhere. Some did in Delaware and some in Wyoming and so on, but plenty didn't. And they're kind of challenging that notion of like, this is a consensus-based, again, collective action, and there's no one person responsible here. So should a society be that, or should it be kind of like a traditional company? That's another question for the future. But we're like, back here, and there's plenty of terms and conditions and privacy statements to protect.
I think we
the
will
infrastructure piece.
We will see everything. It's just like the software development. You have absolute open source software development. If you look at Unix, Linux, okay, this works. And then you also have absolute closed source, Apple, and both exist at the same time. And I think we will also see this.
But if the government asks Apple to give certain persons details, they
we will see
it.
everything. And the future will.
And Twitter had somebody on staff from the FBI that was just sitting there in their desk 9 to 5, doing whatever they wanted. But no, you're right. We can't pretend that we're not going to be legally compliant, right? I mean, of course, we are.
Nice. I think it was intense. I have to cut it somehow so that it's like
okay
to enjoy a conversation on a Friday evening in the sunset.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fred, amazing work. Thank you so much. This is an inspiration, really.
Maybe on Friday I can try it out somehow and show it live. Let's see if I have enough time to prepare it. Yeah.
Okay. What society do you want to create?
Of course, Raoul wants to do resource-based economy, and I want to do a nomad network state.
Yeah. All right, cool. Let's do it. All right, we'll set you up.
Yeah.
I stopped the recording.